Hello, hello. In today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about Chapman guitars and my experiences with owning this guitar for about the last 6 years now. For those of you who don't know, Chapman guitars are the guitar brand owned by Rob Chapman and Lee Anderton. Two of the biggest, well, Anderton's is still really big in the YouTube world, but Rob Chapman has fallen off a little bit in terms of popularity, and after a couple interesting scandals that I won't get into in this video. But these guitars for a really long time have been hyped up and talked about on YouTube, and they're guitars that are kind of hard to experience in the flesh, kind of due to the way that they're sold and distributed. So I wanted to share my honest opinion on this wonderful 2017 ML3 Standard and answer the question, is it worth it? So I got this guitar in 2017, and I actually ordered it, for those of you who remember, from Riff City because I wanted the full experience. I had to pay some hefty duties on it to get it into Canada from the States, but I think at the time it cost me about 650 Canadian dollars, which is very, very cheap for a guitar. Like, that's kind of close to what you would pay for a Squire Classic Vibe. And I was super thrilled with it because I was really into Julian Lage. So this was right around the time he put out his Arclight record. He was playing tellies, and this was my grad present. I got money from my family and put up quite a bit of my own cash to afford this guitar. And I wanted, that kind of telly vibe. I was about to go to jazz school and university, and that's kind of why I chose this guitar. The things about this guitar that I really, really like still are that it's like a telly, but it's got kind of the contour cuts here. And I don't know if I can get this on the camera. There you go. A little bit of an arm cut, so it's a little bit more comfortable to sit with than, say, a standard Fender Telecaster. It's a little bit thinner of a body. But overall, this was my main guitar for about 2.5 years before I, went on we all kind of go on these gear quests. So the gear quest led me astray from this guitar, but still have it, and I honestly don't think I could ever sell it because it's really kind of sentimental with all of that stuff. I actually have it tattooed on my left forearm there. So pretty important guitar to me, and I do really, really love this guitar, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of it. So pros, right off the bat, I generally think this is a higher quality guitar than you would get with a Classic Vibe or something like that. Like, I would put the value of this closer to the value of $1,000 guitars, although there are some drawbacks to that I'll get into. Maple on maple neck, really, really good. It's a really comfortable neck. This is their traditional series, so it's a little bit meatier of a C-neck, which I like. On my custom guitar, I have a neck that's so fat it's basically like you cut off a baseball bat, so I really like that it's thicker. They do have the modern variations that are also, I'm sure, great guitars with a little bit more modern of a profile. So big fan of the neck. As I said before, the body is comfortable, and really the only big downside of this is that you have to kind of know what you're doing with setups, because the way that Chapman runs as a company is it kind of has minimal oversight before it gets to the consumer to help trim down costs. So you get a better guitar, but you do have to do some work to it to get it to play how you like it. So some of the setup stuff I had to do, because I'm mostly a jazz guitarist, I like to play 13s in standard tuning, so I had to tweak the truss rod quite a bit, and I actually had to file the nut slots a little bit wider to accommodate that. But honestly, I have to say, it's a really, really stable guitar. It's served me very, very, very well for what I paid. I would definitely say that I've gotten $650 of use out of it. So, like I was saying, it was my main guitar for my first 2.5 years of university. I gigged it a bunch. It's seen a lot of playtime. And the only things really that I've changed are I did end up putting in these EMG X Telecaster set pickups, and a little bit more on that in a second. But the biggest reason I changed pickups was because, again, playing jazz, I wanted a little bit more smooth and compressed of a sound than the traditional pickups that come with this would be. And so now we've kind of talked about it. It's a really stable, really good guitar. I've put in a ton of playtime on it. Let's talk about some of the downsides of having a Chapman guitar. Sorry if you heard my cat just jump at the window there. But some of the downsides of this would be as these guitars are kind of made with keeping costs down so you can get a good quality guitar at a cheaper price, one of the things that they definitely cheaped out on were the electronics. The pickups in and of themselves that came with this, they were the Chapman, I think they're called Mojo Tones or something like that. I could be wrong. It's something with Mojo in it though, I think. And they were really, really great sounding pickups. I have no qualms with the pickups, but the actual electronics down here, I had a really kind of a scratchy volume pot after, you know, like a year of use. You could actually hear when you rolled it up, it would go and I had a couple of jack issues that I had to resolder, so that aspect of it was not the most reliable. But if there's anywhere to cheap out on a guitar and something that's really easy to replace after the fact, I would argue that the electronics is kind of where you would want those problems to be. In terms of the stock tuners, no problems. The bridge saddles, the brass on the traditional model and maybe on the Pro model too. I should have checked that before I started filming, but I didn't. And I'll get this up. I don't know if you can see that the brass color has changed to a kind of greeny, greeny relic kind of look, and it's all genuine playware. From resting your hand on the bridge. And that's the other thing actually that I really love about this guitar over something like a traditional Fender Tele, where I really like that this has the 6 individual saddles, so you can really get the intonation dialed. And in terms of other things that are kind of unique to this, I also really loved the big frets, because I'm a big fret kind of guy, so there's a lot of meat to grab on it. And so really in answering the question, is this guitar or Chapman guitars in general worth it? I would definitely argue yes, they are worth it. You can get a really good guitar for a lower than average price. The only thing is you might need to spend some time setting it up and dealing with that. And again, this is the standard series, not the Pro series. I believe the Pro series has better electronics as they are more expensive guitars. But if you were to get the standard series, 100% you will have some issues with the electronics after a couple years of use. And to be fair to this guitar, like this guitar was played probably 6 hours a day for those 2.5 years. It was gigged, a couple times a month, so it really did kind of get put through the paces, and it got hauled on public transit for hours and hours and hours to and from university. So kind of having some reliability issues like that, I honestly just see as general maintenance that would happen to pretty much any guitar. The electronics failing is maybe a little bit showing that they're on the cheaper side, but I did get a lot of use out of it. And then I guess the other question would be, if I like this guitar so much, why don't I use it that much? And that mostly comes down to the fact that I bought this when I was, a young 17-year-old. I was super influenced. I've been watching Chappers and Lee's videos for years at that point, and it was really exciting, and I wanted a T-style guitar to sound like Julian Lage and everything. I'm still working on sounding like Julian Lage, but I bought that guitar when I was young, and then obviously as I got more and more advanced as a musician and kind of more established in my career and kind of knew what I wanted to do, the guitars that I play now, which, you guys mostly see me with a Fender Strat, but I actually don't play that guitar that much professionally outside of the pop band that I play in, Jub. I'm mainly playing my Kinnell custom archtop, and obviously it was custom hand built and I got to call all the shots on it, so that guitar is kind of tailored to everything that I want to do on a guitar. But say for example I lost that guitar in a fire or something and this guitar miraculously survived, I would have no qualms playing, recording, and gigging and doing kind of everything I do in my musical life on this guitar. It's a really fluid, nice, stable guitar. Again, I really, really like it. I'll give you a couple sound examples here on the way out. So if we're in the bridge, and again, I do have the EMG pickups in here, but honestly, I wouldn't say that it's the world's biggest difference. There's just a little bit less twang to it than the stock pickups that came with it. And if we're being honest with ourselves, pickups are probably one of the first things we would change if we were to buy a Chapman guitar with the electronics maybe. But it pulls out a lot of really convincing Tele sounds. Like if I'm here, I can... a little bit out of tune, but... So that is the bridge. The middle position, you get a little bit of quackiness. Obviously, it's not like you would get from a Strat, but... And then in the neck, which is where I have spent probably 95% of my time playing with this guitar, you can get really nice full sounding jazz sounds. And I actually really like this guitar for jazz. I think Tellys are occasionally underrated. If you don't believe me, check out Tim Lurch or Ed Bickert, any of those guys. But yeah, so there's kind of my basic thoughts on whether Chapman guitars are worth it or not. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It helps me out more than you could know. If you're interested in taking a guitar lesson with me, there's a link to that down in the description that'll take you to my website. I'd love to work with you on whatever you're working on the guitar. I have new videos coming out at least every Monday and Thursday right now. And until I see you next time, I'll wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you get to have some fun playing the guitar. Do you have a Chapman guitar? Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Thanks, and have a great day.